Hello, beautiful souls. It is Scott Cruz, psychic medium, blending the worlds of metaphysics and psychotherapy. Now, here's 9 common questions I frequently get asked, either about myself and my abilities or about spirituality and psychotherapy in general. Okay. First question is, what is the difference between an empath, a psychic, or a medium? Well, an empath is someone who can specifically read other people's emotions, either directly or remotely. They can configure how they're processing things emotionally. They can read that energy very, very keenly. Now, a psychic is someone who can read someone's life trajectory, past, present, future, can actually tap into different aspects of their past lives and all that wonderful stuff, and also can tap into their energy projections. They can also access their subconscious. So a psychic has more of that, intuitive data that comes along with being an empath. And a medium is someone who obviously can channel spirit consciousness. They can talk to those who cross over. Now, all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. And just as all psychics are empaths, not all empaths are psychic. But of course, mediums are also empaths as well. So it's important to identify the differences. I know a lot of people have gone to readers and they've had the reader know so much about them, but not so much about their past and future. That's specifically because they were just being an empath and not really psychic. A psychic can actually read all the external individual data as well as the data that is, collaborated with the collective and understanding how things change. But remember, the future is not set in stone. It's based on the progression and the momentum where things are going. Everything can be changed. And a psychic should be good enough to understand whether or not that trajectory in the future is most probable, least probable, and all that wonderful stuff. So when you go to seek a reader, make sure they really are psychic, not just an empath. Okay. Question number 2. How do you know when you have psychic abilities and how do you embrace them? Well, as I said before, you know when you're in tune to someone else's emotions. That doesn't mean you're psychic. A lot of people start out with fear-like symbols of when they see someone in their dream die and then they actually wake up and they die. Or they tap into minor events of things happening that it happens. It's more of a predictive type of basis. Now, if that's happening to you, where you're kind of predicting minor events and you also have that very strong sense of empathy as an empath, what you want to do is really much center yourself with your own energy. Make sure you're not contaminating yourself with other people's beliefs and energies. It's really kind of being very self-centered. And I know that self-centered sounds very negative, but being self-centered means you're centered with yourself, you're in tune to your intuition. That will enhance, of course, psychic abilities. It seems very simple, but most people are very physical and very dense in their approach to life. And that, of course, filters out and blurs the lines of intuition, psychic ability, and also empathy. So make sure that you're being balanced. You understand you're human, but you're not 100% living a human dense life, that you're also focusing on your spirituality, intuition, and spirit consciousness. Third question. When did you know you were a medium and how was your life being one? Well, I knew when I was around 4 to 6 years old. I could see apparitions, holographic representations of humans. I mean, what's really going on is I was actually reading, residual energies from past realities. And then I was able to communicate with those spirit consciousness and get information about that. So I was kind of reading that data at a very young age. Also, I created a poltergeist in my home because I had some traumas I was experimenting and also abilities that were just not being utilized. So along the years, it was very difficult because, I would have to stop and give people a message. I read a message and it was always spot on. And I got to a point, it was just too encumbering for me. And I felt like kind of a freak show, so I kind of hid it for a while. But I had to find out how to turn it on and turn it off. A lot of people who have abilities, they're flooded, their channel is open, they're constantly being flooded with information. That's not healthy. You have to filter it out and be able to utilize it when you want to and define how you wish to utilize that ability. So when I'm not in session, I have a light switch in my mind, I turn off, and then I go about my day and not being bombarded by message. And when I want to have a message about something, I turn it on. And I also, so in my subconscious, set the tone of what I also want to be on autopilot. I definitely want to be empathetic and read people's energies and be mindful of surroundings of what's going to happen or not happen. So you get to set that tone, and just by kind of, I would say, speaking it into existence kind of calibrates how you utilize those abilities. But I had to learn that along the way, but also understand how my mind was working, studying psychology and how the brain functions to understand the differences between intuition and signals from spirit versus my mind creating things on its own. Fourth question. Can anyone learn to be a psychic or a medium? The answer to that one is yes and no. Being a psychic intuitive is just an awareness. So we all have that awareness. We all could develop that awareness. It depends on whether or not you'll have the ability to do it for others. That can, of course, take years to develop, or maybe it just comes naturally. I would say the question is very much similar to any type of profession or ability. You could all learn to be a doctor, but could you be a good doctor? We can all learn to be a musician, but can we be a musician? Does it come natural to us? But getting the information intuitively for yourself in your own life, we all have the abilities to do that. And we all have the ability to do that as a medium as well to those that we love. Whether or not you can do it for somebody else, and be a caregiver in that way, we still have the ability to tap into the awareness to get the information that we need for ourselves in our own personal lives. But again, the professional aspect depends on whether or not that's something that comes natural to you with helping people in that format and context. But that does take years of development, years of understanding, years of practice, as anything does, to become a master at that. Fifth question, this is an interesting one. Why does it seem like when I become more spiritual, my life gets worse? See that? I love that question. There's different aspects to that. A lot of times people get spiritual because they're trying to manifest something they want in life. So therefore, their spirit's showing to them all the things that is blocking them from getting it. And so, because they're getting spiritual, they're not looking at the psychological things that are resurrecting from the subconscious to say, look, work on this. This is what's blocking you. Many people think it should just come from thin air, and so they think that my life's getting worse. Like, well, actually, it's getting more revealed. It's becoming more insightful. You're just not realizing this. So if you're becoming spiritual to manifest what you want, yeah, things might get worse if you're not willing to look at the things that have been blocking you, that's prevented you from manifesting that in your life before. So I would say when people focus on spirituality, they're looking to fulfill something psychologically. Because being spiritual is actually a result of clearing out your mind and understanding how to utilize your mind and getting rid of the psychological blocks and understanding how to think in your favor and to remove the filters in your life that have been preventing you from experiencing life the way you wish to experience it. So when you remove the negative filters in your life, you become spiritual. You are spirit. You are conscious. So in order to fully be in that perspective, you must remove the limitations. So yeah, a lot of times if you're becoming spiritual for the wrong reasons, well, life will reveal to you what's actually blocking you, and it may not be pretty. But that's also a positive thing. Spirituality means that you're willing to work on that. Spirituality means you're willing to find how to balance yourself out in the positive and negative. Spirituality means you want to learn more about your subconscious, more about your physical persona, so you can actually expand soul consciousness. And of course, living in peace, living in harmony, having nothing really kind of affect you, being empowered in circumstances that are negative is also the results of being spiritually aligned. That actually answers my sixth question. I must have been psychic about that one. What is truly spirituality? So it's what I just said, balance. Seeking to expand the soul through your physical experiences and not deeming everything in your physical experiences as negative and saying, okay, here's an opportunity for me to grow. If you don't have that mindset, you'll always stay stuck in a rut and wallowing and repeating the narratives of why things are going wrong for you. Why? Instead of why, say, it is what it is, let's build off of that. It's a very simple approach, but your approach matters. How you deem to define the circumstances. And spirituality is about balance and seeking growth internally, but also seeing that reflected in the external world just makes it more fun. Number 7. How does psychotherapy play a role in the work that you do? Well, I use that title because I've studied psychotherapy and psychology and how the mind works, so it plays a massive role. So using that is a very powerful tool because as an intuitive, I can access their trajectory, see their past, also read their subconscious to understand the patterns that are blocking them, but my knowledge and experience with psychotherapy to understand how to reprogram, reprocess to create different patterns of the mind. To help guide them into better alignment with themselves, but as an intuitive and as a psychic, I can read what their true desires are. I can read what their goals are, what their karmic debts or karmic patterns are, and how to change those with the mind, and to understand how their mind works also on the psychic intuitive level. So it plays a massive role because the thing that bothered me about being a psychic was it didn't make sense psychologically. And the thing that bothered me about, like, say, psychotherapy and therapy was that it wasn't really giving the answers to the spiritual side of things. So we need to understand that we're a complete package of spirit consciousness and this physical brain that we have, and understanding how they both sync together actually gives the results of being a well-rounded being, but being able to accomplish life with ease, being able to move forward with determination and focusing more on what you want to fulfill and experience life and less on how to get it done. So yes, understanding the mind and how our brain works is imperative to how we filter life and how our soul gets to express itself. So it's just as important as being a psychic or a medium in the work that I do. Number 8, What kind of information do you receive when you're in a session? Well, it depends on the type of sessions I'm having, and it depends also on the current being the sitter, the person seeking the session. In a regular psychic session, my goal is to understand what's going on internally and how they're processing things with their mind, but also their spiritual agenda. That can come in so many different formats. We call it the different clairs: clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, and clairsentient. Clairvoyance, of course, being visually, getting visual symbols. Clairaudient being audible. Claircognizance, just knowing. You just know information. And clairsentience is being, you feel things. And so they come in different formats. And sometimes, there'll be flashes of symbols. Sometimes I just write down the information like as if I know it already. Sometimes I'll hear verbiage or hear a name of something. Or sometimes I just kind of feel the vibration of what's going on. So it can happen in so many different formats. And with each different, I would say, sense, there's different branches of those interpretations and how things can be symbolized and expressed. So there's an array of formats. Of course, I've taken many years to decipher how to utilize those different sensories, so I can utilize all of them. And sometimes I can lean more clairvoyant dominant. Lately, I've just been very claircognizant dominant, where I just know, like I've known the person. So it comes in so many different ways. And with spirit, it's almost like someone's relaying information to me. And they sometimes relay in more, I would say, download packages. I have to unpack the download sometimes. Just as if I'm channeling inspiration to create, music or create some sort of project, it comes in different packages and I have to decompress it in the physical language. And of course, those packages can be unpacked and expressed in so many different ways, which is, of course, enhance our creativity and things. But when I'm receiving the data, it's very much more technical for me than it is, I would say spiritual. It's just processing data and understanding how to interpret it in our physical language to make sense. And that takes, again, years to understand how symbology resonates with the actual data in the physical world. So again, I receive it in so many different formats, and if you're, of course, wanting to understand how to develop those skills, it does take a long time to flex those muscles, so understand how to flex them. But once you understand them and you learn them, you never quite lose them. So, okay, number 9. What inspires you when you create music? Great question. I like that's the last question, actually. Everything inspires me. There's so many things. Trauma inspires me. Excitement inspires me. My own experiences, my own emotions, my own thoughts, other people's experiences, other people's thoughts. There's so much flooding of inspiration in life that you can utilize. And so a lot of people say, well, I have writer's block. How do I get over writer's block? Well, then write about the experience of being blocked. Bada bing, right? Or they're trying to conceive of an idea, and I say, well, then try to, take a step back from that and understand there's so many ideas you can pull from. Allow the ideas to flow through naturally, right? Because when you're focused on trying to inspire an idea, you're kind of limiting your mind. It has to be one specific thing instead of just saying there's so much it could be. Let's see what resonates, and allowing time to happen. So I take that approach with music too. If I have an idea, but there's so many ideas I can come up with. Which I'm writing about songs right now about certain things that people have been, I would say, across the board consistently been challenged with. I'm actually writing songs about those stories and how to overcome them, actually. So everything inspires me. And the song that's playing beneath this video is my song Culture, which you can find on iTunes and Spotify. Here's a little snippet.
We're building on a culture, not silence or censor. Let's abandon human nature for a mystical adventure. We're building on a culture, no more labels in the future. In harmony with nature, in a mystical adventure. We're building on a culture.
So if you haven't checked out my music, then check it out now. You can also follow me on my music page at Scott Cruz Instagram. And if you're also interested in booking a personal session, I offer psychic readings. I also offer a session called Intuition Builder, which helps you also to build up your own psychic, intuitive, and also mediumship abilities. And of course, I also offer mediumship sessions. God, that's a tongue twister. Which you can check scottcruzpm.com to find information about each type of session. And also you can find more blogs and videos there as well. And remember, you are the god of your own myth. What do you want to create? Much love.